coffee. And here we go. Good morning, everybody. Brian Hoagley here. Welcome back to cisolife Live out there on LinkedIn land. All 4 of my current followers, watchers, now 5. Ooh, thanks for joining, number 5. Hope everybody's doing good and my coffee's not in shot for too long. You know what? I'm just going to leave it here. We'll keep talking. Hope everybody's safe and doing well. Some crazy times going on, right? But, you know, hey, let's keep our heads on. Let's help each other. Let's keep working together. Let's solve some problems, all right? As CISOs and security professionals, there's quite a bit that we still have to do, right? We are folks who, I don't know, relish, maybe just deal with, thrive in, whatever it is, chaos. And we are looked to at our organizations by other leaders, by our staff, to help determine what's going on, usually with incidents. Now, obviously, we have a major incident going on globally that's affecting just about everybody. And it's interesting to see how a lot of CISOs are reacting and not reacting. So, you know, just keep your head on, reach out to your peers, reach out to your friends, reach out to other experts. Get the help you need to work with the folks that you have. Take care of your teams. And we'll keep plugging along, all right? We'll get through this. The areas that I think I wanted to cover for today were some interesting news articles that have come out recently that are really, you know, just kind of top of mind. And I can actually see. So I got, if no one saw, I got a new studio set up and everything. Very happy with this. And my new monitor over here is flickering, so I might not be able to see the stuff I've got to go through on screens, but you know, hey, roll with it. So we're just gonna switch this up real quick. We're gonna break the 3rd or 4th wall or whatever that one is called when you when you come off stage, right? All right, hopefully that works. Maybe it's just some RF interference. 5G conspiracy deep down in my basement dealing with a VGA cable. That's what's actually happening. Kidding. All right, so we're just gonna spend a couple minutes this morning going over some things I thought was interesting. So first off, coming out of the news for this last weekend, San Francisco International Airport has apparently lost control of 2 websites, 2 systems, something along those lines. There's some compromised Windows credentials. I got to give credit to San Francisco and big shout out to one of our folks out there, David Chase Dean, our SideChannel CISOs, holding it down on lockdown. You know, I wouldn't just say that San Francisco is flattening the curve. They're probably ahead of the curve on what's needed to be done. So kudos to all you folks out in California and the work that you guys are doing, staying home, wearing awesome shorts, although I'm jealous of your year-round ability to do that. You know, just kind of keeping your head above. But, you know, another example of some areas that we could probably shore up. Not a lot of travel probably happening in San Francisco, so probably lower impact. But still, you know, it looks like Windows credentials were compromised to access devices. And that's what the component was for everyone kind of going after San Francisco. What I found interesting was you know, kind of when it came out, it just seemed like really an odd time that, you know, during this downtick, did the security teams have more time available to look at and sort through less traffic because of less travelers? I don't know. Sometimes you kind of see that with, you know, baselining your network, right? You've got a, you know, you've got this environment that's now kind of quieted down a bit, and you can maybe look a little deeper into, you know, what's happening on the network or your traffic or really whatever. And it's interesting. So I don't know, maybe that happened, maybe that didn't, but maybe let's take that as an example and as a use case. Say it did. You know, there are some silver linings to what's going on with kind of everyone working from home, different traffic patterns coming in, you know, specifically if you're looking at VPN traffic, you know, you're seeing a predominant amount of access coming in from there, but now you're seeing less on-prem. Could you take this time to look at your on-prem or your internal non-VPN traffic and start refiguring out your baseline? Anyway, food for thought. I think it's an interesting idea and probably worth some exploration. I'll give a shout out to my man Sean Lafferty. He's started his own channel, which a lot of sales guys I see are doing now, making better use of the platforms, the live platforms, video platforms. Now that the sales agenda is really, and the sales kind of cadences have changed for a lot of people, I think this is interesting. Sean's a really funny guy, really great guy, great sales guy. Total transparency. I do advisory work for Zscaler, which is why I'm connected with Sean and I got to know him. But check him out on LinkedIn. He's got some really funny stuff to kind of, add some levity to the day. But he's also got some really interesting information that's out there and available to take advantage of for conferencing. World of conferencing, I think we're going to see this massive shift. Obviously, no one can go together to a conference. We saw, RSA, I think, was the last one. It was a holdout. It went off relatively without a hitch, except for some unfortunate folks, coming home. Maybe they, contracted COVID before. Maybe it was after or during. Who knows? But really glad to hear that our man out of Exabeam, I think his name's Tillett. Mr. Tillett is in the clear down in Connecticut. So really glad to see, that. But the conference scene now shifting to all virtual, right? Sales teams are going to be seeing a massive change to how they have to engage with CISOs and potential clients. And I think I want to do another, a whole discussion on this, because I had a great discussion with a gentleman who's the lead for a marketing and sales group, good friend of mine, here in Massachusetts for a large organization. And we had a really very interesting in-depth conversation about the type of personalities within sales that are going to be drastically affected by this, right? Versus others that don't. And what's going to shape and rechange the sales cycle and approaches for organizations. Conversely, how are CISOs and security professionals and CIOs, how are they going to start purchasing? If your traditional means, and this is obviously, if your traditional means of purchasing any type of products, services, or solutions is based on knowing a vendor personally, going out to lunch, engaging with them, bringing their team on site to meet your team, that whole standard process, if that is what and how you procure, you are purchasing through the power of someone who can really generate and create good sales leads, follow through on those leads, and then be good salespeople. And that's a great skill, right? I don't naturally have that skill. I'm in the second camp of, and don't take this the wrong way, I feel as though I'm an expert enough in enough spaces to be able to determine and talk knowledgeably about a technology or a service to then have that be part of the core conversation. And I say that partly in jest, but partly with this. Think about every time you sat down across from a sales, an engagement, right, on what you were going to purchase. And I'm probably popping the mic a lot here. Sorry about that, folks. And you really looked at, we're going to just drop the mic a wee bit. See, this is what happens with live, right? Good thing I never made on Saturday night. How many of you are looking at and talking to the sales guy or girl about the product that you're looking to procure, the service you're going to procure? And where in the conversation do you just stop and turn to the person to their right who's the sales engineer and say, look, you explain it to me. I want to hear from you because you're the knowledgeable expert. And then how many times have you seen or heard sales folks just kind of, come up and just throw their hands up and say, look, I'm just the sales guy or girl, right? That's why I brought Bob or, Alice with me to talk about the actual technology. I think there's going to be a genuine shift in how we procure, right? In a work from home, work through pandemic state where we are no longer engaging with the sales folks. We want to engage with the sales engineers. It's just my position. I think it's an interesting one. And I think it's one where we're going to see a massive shift in how people do sales and how people even go ahead and look to procure. Who are CISOs and CISOs reaching out to ask questions? Are they asking experts, right? Or are they asking pure salespeople? And again, salespeople can be experts in it, but I've talked to enough sales folks who have told me straight out, I'm not the expert. That's why I brought Bob or Alice. So I think there's a massive shift. I think it's going to be interesting. I want to applaud Sean and some of the other folks that I've seen coming out with a way to kind of position that first camp, right? And thanks, Robbie, for like calling that out. A lot of us are in that have to move to that second camp, right, to either sell or purchase. You know, part of it is engagement, right? And I think what Sean's doing and what these guys are doing and some of the other ones I've seen is they're creating the opportunity for engagement. Because maybe you don't know who to reach out to. Maybe you don't know what's available. And I think we're going to see a lot more commercials, like some of the things like I'm doing here, or some of the things that I've seen Sean doing, that are going to create the opportunity to bring people in and ask questions. And then we're going to be able to find the experts or be positioned to the experts. Or maybe this is all wrong and some folks are just going to start reaching directly out to advisors and consultants and, folks who've been in the trenches doing this type of work. And that's what's going to be the catalyst to how things are going to change and move and shape up. So an interesting space, one that I think we'll definitely be watching very closely on all sides. Definitely shout out to, anybody who's following what is going on has got to have in the back of their head that this guy is somehow involved, right? Conspiracy theories aside, there was a very interesting article that came out recently about how the Russians could be using this entire pandemic to be watching and waiting to see how the US's supply chain reacts and is able to respond. And I'm not an insider on really any of that, but from watching the news and hopefully I'm reading the right news and I'm weeding through the stuff that's just bogus. Even if that aside, if I was a foreign adversary, I would be taking this opportunity to be looking at what is happening with the United States and what supply chains, who's reacting, who's able to manufacture, what are the supply chains able to produce, move, ship, how are the logistics all being set up. And what I find interesting about this story is it capitalizes on and really points out the area that CISOs and security professionals have been talking about with the mid-market and small businesses for a while now, about why do we need to focus on your security, your resiliency. Kind of the question that gets posed and the answer that's given is, oh, I'm too small, or no one's going to target me, right? I'm not worried about that because that's, I'm too small is usually the answer I always hear. This news article is a first indicator that no, you are not too small. And that if we have realized anything out of this entire pandemic, this entire Charlie Foxtrot, it's that no one is too small to either be affected or affect the supply chain. Now, this is all being, impacted from a volume and availability standpoint. But, and this isn't FUD, factor in a cybersecurity concern that hits like a wave, like a pandemic like COVID-19 or something else. Or inject a supply chain issue that's a catalyst, or that's catalyst is cybersecurity, or just lump it in on top of what we're dealing with now. We're going to see exponential issues, or we're going to see new issues that are going to come out. And I think this is an opportunity to really look at, are we as small as we think we are, certain companies? Larger companies really need to look at and say, are we that much dependent on either overseas, foreign-backed companies? Is our own supply chain domestically strong enough? Are we vetting our supply chain? These are, while most folks are like, oh, Brian, you're just a CISO. You're talking about CISO stuff. Aren't you talking about cybersecurity more? Supply chain and information security, data management, logistics, that all falls inside my view of security operations. How are you, and traditional, operations of a company. But security operations and security operators, CISOs, CSOs, our job is to be advisors and, really be the Yoda within the room on, hey, this could go wrong. Hey, well, this is how we should maybe think about some risks. Hey, here are some mitigations or some ways to remediate these risks. Let's really look at our supply chain and what we're doing. Okay. One, I think we're going to be just kind of nationally kind of move to a, maybe domestic nation first type of a supply chain order of what we need to build and what do we need to rely on. But even if our own companies even if the nation doesn't take that approach, we should really be looking at how well are we positioned to be able to depend on our vendors, and who are those vendors and where are they? And how are we vetting them? How are we testing them? What controls are we holding them to? And when do we say we're done, right? You don't meet our criteria. It's no longer just, I got a great relationship with you on a business side. I now, your ability to produce that product or that service is something that I rely on. Can I rely on you for that? Have you checked all the boxes? And I don't mean in a compliance sense, but have you checked all the boxes within that area of vendor management to be able to make me feel comfortable about what needs to be done? I don't know. Maybe. There goes the jet. A little bit of levity. Whoever keeps positioning this product on my Twitter feed, and it's probably everybody else's, is either just a complete savage or sadist, or they really actually know I like strategy games. But I just find it interesting that I keep coming up with the Conflict of Nations World War III strategy game on my Twitter feed during all this. I didn't see this product coming out before this whole pandemic. So kudos to whoever's in marketing to position that, because I'm probably going to play it. I'm not sponsored by these guys. We don't take sponsorship dollars, but I just find this kind of interesting. One other area to hit on is Marriott. Wah, wah. Sad trombone. Has suffered yet another security breach. This time exposing 5.2 million hotel guests. Oh, go figure. I should probably check out my Star Alliance and my my Marriott Bonvoy account. God, I'm actually a Marriott fan. I kind of like being there in their little exclusive club and getting all the cool little redemptions. But second time a breach has been exposed. Why I'm pointing out Mr. Vanderwalt here is he is currently the CISO for Marriott. He was also the CISO for Marriott in the last breach. I mean, is the leadership just like, whatever, it's fine? I mean, this stuff happens, we'll just kind of roll with it. At some point, I'm not a big fan of the CISO taking the hatchet on when bad things happen. But as a consumer, in this sense, one who has been pretty loyal to Marriott, this guy's still in charge and he let the second one go. And he's still the CISO. So I've got to ask, as a consumer and a loyal customer, maybe we can change things? Or I'm going to start going over to Hilton. I don't know. But you've got some time, Marriott, to figure this out, seeing as though probably not a lot of people are going to be staying in hotels for a little while. So you've got some time to maybe reshuffle the deck. But, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. No, that's it. Reverse it. It's the other way. Either way, this gentleman or whoever it is in charge of security at Marriott, still, if it's him or somebody else, has got some explaining to do. And I don't think it's for the wrong reasons. This is a massive data breach in a international, well-known brand. It's happened in a very close proximity to another data breach, and the same people are at the helm. I don't know. Just seems like bad practices after a little while. The first one, if you didn't see massive changes in your environment, Marriott, or you didn't actually make, God forbid if you didn't do this, if you didn't make the changes in your environment to keep something like this from happening, wow. I mean, we definitely have a long way to go in the hospitality industry as far as how to address risk. So there we go. Might be a little bit of an indicator that the CEO, I think, and a couple of the other executive team took their pensions, furloughed their employees, and I think they're still maybe even taking some level of the CARES Act stimulus. I don't know. Hopefully I'm wrong, or I'm just thought about that or remembered that incorrectly. Either way, live TV. This will be recorded and shown at a later date if you missed any of the awesomeness that I pretend to put out on this little show. I'm just kidding. I don't pretend. I actually do quite a little bit of work. Hopefully next time I've had a lot of be able to show you kind of the inner workings of this studio. Had a lot of people actually reach out. Hey, Brian, how do you do this? It's actually not that hard. I'm sitting in front of a $50 piece of acrylic plexiglass and a 1080p camera that anybody can buy on Amazon with some open source software running on a laptop and 2 monitors. This is super easy. I actually implore anybody else who's got an idea, put one together, put it out, because, I mean, I've actually watched the end of the internet and all of Netflix, so I'm looking for other content to watch. Please please. Along those lines, if any of you are interested in joining me on cisolife and just talk shop, talk about anything, I've tried horribly and unfortunately to run a live one with Google Chat. I think I've worked out the kinks on that, so we'll, I'm looking forward to making that actual reality. So if you're interested in being on the show, I guess we'll call this a show, reach out in the comments below. Reach out to me directly, Brian at SideChannel.com. You can see it on the ticker below, or just drop a comment on what you'd like to see me talk about. Last week, we talked about some 4-letter words, right? Zoom, CMMC, and COOP. And anybody outside of the DoD, COOPs are known as business continuity plans. And I found it very interesting, the feedback I got, that a lot of you are seeing, in fact, that the business continuity planning operations that has been done for years was in fact the way I illustrated it. Everyone was told to go work together over here together. And it's not happening now. What are you doing? So maybe we could do a full episode on that. I'd love to have somebody else who's a COOP expert join me. I think that'd be very interesting. Along those lines, now that I have a little bit more time on my hands, even though I have been working remotely 100% for the last year from home, and I feel as though I'm a little bit better prepared than I would have been, not saying anybody else, just me, to actually deal with what's going on today globally. I do have actually some more time on my hands, so do you as well. And looking to finish up the NIST series, because I know a lot of you have been asking for it. Hopefully we can actually get some calendars aligned with everybody else. We did reach out to and talk to Ron Ross. We'll call him the godfather of controls and my personal hero inside of NIST. He is accepted to join us. We're looking to do maybe a small series on what NIST is doing, where they're going, and how we can apply what we've been talking about on here with the controls and the control framework to make manageable and usable for the mid-market space. Also looking to have some gentlemen from CISA on, Mr. Ron Ford. Shout out to Ron. Boston area, New England area, looking to have him come on the show and discuss what CISA is doing. Obviously, the pandemic has changed a lot of things, so we'll be doing most of this now, if not all of it, virtually. I think the only other in-studio guests would either be my wife or my daughter. And if any of you are looking for artwork to be done, you can definitely reach out to my 10-year-old. She was more than willing to work on any kind of art project that is within her capabilities and drawing, either here on the whiteboard or for you. Really, honestly, anything to do, like, now that we don't have after-school activities going on, like, please, if you got an idea, if you want something drawn, she'll draw it. I'll put her up here, and it's all yours. Anyway, hope everybody's doing well. This has been a lot of fun. I think we might do the live one every morning. You tell me if we should or not. And if you like the recorded stuff with the intros, outros, and all the editing, tell me that too. No hurt feelings. Anyway, hope everybody's good. Enjoy the day. This is Brian with cisolife. Take care.